Medical Intuitive Insights with your host, Dr. Gloria Warren, is a program that presents topics on medical intuition, holistic opportunities outside of mainstream society, and scientific research as applied today. Topics range from online intuitive readings to interviews unveiling alternative healing modalities and discussing them with inspirational leaders. Dr. Warren is the bridge within holistic arts while stressing the balance between the spiritual and physical self. So now, please welcome the host of Medical Intuitive Insights, Dr. Gloria Warren.
What if prostate cancer is developing long before symptoms ever appear? And could one simple screening save the life of someone you love? What if the choices you make today change your risk tomorrow? Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Medical Intuitive Insights. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Warren, your guide in the space where science meets intuition, where evidence-based medicine merges with holistic wisdom, and where your body's messages finally have a place to be heard. Today, I'm doing the last of the men's series on prostate cancer. The disease is incredibly common and incredibly misunderstood. It is influenced by detection, lifestyle, and awareness. Prostate cancer doesn't always start loud. It begins quietly and slowly as it emerges. More and more cases, early detection makes all the difference in the world. So today we're diving into the symptoms, the causes, medical explanations, best traditional treatments, holistic and integrative solutions, and emerging research every man and woman, every partner, and every family member should know. This is research you're not going to hear anywhere else. So we will discuss that as we move along. So settle in, breathe deeply, and let's walk the walk together. So let's first begin and talk about the prostate itself. It's a small walnut-sized gland, that's only about this big. And it's located just below the bladder in men. Its job, to produce seminal fluid, the nourishing protective liquid that carries sperm. But because its location, it's not its only thing it does. We'll get more into that later with hormones. But because of its location, it wraps around the urethra like a donut, and any swelling, inflammation, or growth that can affect urination, sexual function, and reproductive health. We'll show you a picture later on as we go on to the slideshow in the second quarter. Prostate cancer begins with the cells in the gland. They mutate. They start growing out of control, similar to other cancers. Some grow slowly, some grow aggressively. And because early symptoms can minimize or vague symptoms, routine screening becomes a life-saving tool. Remember, you need to be open with your doctor. Let them do the prostate screening when you go. Talk to them if you have any of the problems, and we'll get into some of that as well. Keep in mind, the prostate does not make major hormones. It converts, activates, and responds to hormones made elsewhere. Key hormone conversions, its main role. Testosterone is one of the hormones, done via the 5-alpha reductase enzyme. I can get into this technical if you like, or we can just, skim through it, but it drives the prostate growth, the function, the BPH, and cancer behavior, like hormone-like factors the prostate produces. PSA, prostate-specific antigen. It liquefies semen, by the way. Killicrines, seminal proteins that support fertilities. Prostaglandins influence inflammation and smooth muscle tone. Hormones and prostate is highly sensitive to testosterone and DHT, which are primary regulators. The estrogens, estradiol and estrone. GF1 and growth hormones as well, adrenaline androgens, DHEA, and estendione. I think that's how you say it. Therefore, the prostate does not produce major hormones, but it converts testosterone into DHT and secretes local factors such as PSA. Its growth, health, and cancer risk are driven by hormones produced in the testes, adrenal glands, which are on the kidneys, by the way, and fat tissues. So it's not just a gland sitting around your urethra. It's a gland that regulates other things throughout your whole body. So if somebody gets prostate cancer, it's like, oh, just remove the prostate. It does have regulation effects on these other glands. It's very important to remember that. It's not a simple solution if and when you get cancer. So how prostate cancer develops. Like all cancers, as mentioned, prostate cancer begins with DNA mutations. Now, I'm going to mention something about this. When you have something in your DNA, a lot of people are getting DNA tests. Oh, it says I have colon cancer, so therefore I'm going to get colon cancer. No, not necessarily. You need a trigger. And when I say that, there's something that fails in your body for that DNA to trigger and have it come out. So it could be chemicals, it could be anything. We'll talk about that as we move along. Creates DNA mutations. You need a trigger, because if you're extremely healthy, let's say you're a marathon runner and this and that, well, why did I get prostate cancer? It's possible because you're depleting your system so low at certain times that mutations can occur. So balance, as I say, is the key to life. So some are inherent. Some prostate cancers, when it's not in your DNA, you can still get it. Most cancers are caused from a chemical trigger. Some that are also acquired. But they all lead to cells that no longer follow your body's natural healthy rules. So several factors contribute to cellular behavior. Age, most cases, but not all, most cases can happen after the age of 50. I've seen some happen even in their 20s. So everybody really needs to get screened when they see their doctor. The urologist is the specialist that would handle that situation if there's any questions as well. If you have an insurance that you can go to see any doctor you want, you don't need a referral, you may want to see a urologist and just get a baseline. See, or talk to them about some problems. So age is a key factor. Family history, whether there's prostate, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, or colon cancer, that can all correlate to prostate cancer. Genetic mutations, we talked about that. And I have specific genetic code markers listed. If you want to know that, you can just send me a text, 715-892-7500. I will send that. Just say genetic mutation codes or something like that, so I know what to send back to you. Hormonal environment, if things are off kilt and they're not balanced, that can also be a trigger. Chronic inflammation can be a trigger. That can make anything in your body trigger, even your brain. So diet and lifestyle factors, though, are a huge difference. The tricky part, though, prostate cancer can grow for years before causing noticeable symptoms. And that's why I said, no matter what age you are, you really need to figure out, do you have a doctor that would know how to do an exam? Unfortunately, it may not be a comfortable exam, but look at what even women have, uncomfortable exams. But we need to do those exams. That's something that our body needs somebody from the outside to actually double check and make sure it is what it should be. There's different treatments and everything else. So we have an idea of how it develops. There are also certain risk factors. So symptoms, risk factors, that type of thing. Many men dismiss early symptoms as just, oh, I'm getting older. Everybody has a hard time peeing. It just doesn't come out smoothly or whatever. No, that's not necessarily true. The body actually whispers before it screams. We really need to pay attention to those whispers. Is it something that we've had our whole life? Or I've had my whole life? Is something you'd ask yourself? Or is this something new? Or maybe it's been happening the last few years, but if there's something that you have common symptoms of that you need to check. You need to get it checked. Okay. So some of those symptoms are difficulty urinating. Now, we could have a weak stream, frequent nighttime urination, typical sign that there's swelling in there. So need to go get a blood test perhaps, and maybe a physical exam, just to see if it has something to do with the prostate and how the PSA test is going. Is there burning with urination? Is there blood or semen even in the urination? And yes, that is common with prostate symptoms. Do you have erectile dysfunction? By the way, our last week's show was on erectile dysfunction. So if you want to hear the medical and the scientific as well as the intuition and holistic, you may want to key into that show. I had Coach Mike on this show, and he is absolutely wonderful. We got some discussions in some of his expertise area with his clients, and it was just a wonderful jam-packed information for you to look at. So keep that in mind too. Pelvic floor discomfort, another symptom. We have pain in lower back and hips. You may think you have back pain, but is it back pain? There's ways to tell the difference. If you want to know those ways, you can text me. Once again, 715-892-7500. Just put pain, lower back, prostate with question marks or something, and I'll know what you need to know. And I can actually call you if you'd like, or I can send you a text and we can talk about how you can do a self-check. Let's say you can't get the doctor. You got to wait a couple months. You want to do a self-check so you don't worry as much until you get in to see the doctor. I can let you know some basics. It's not 100%, but it's a really good, solid foundation, and has a lot of common sense to it too, and you'll see that. So recognizing the key risk factors, though, like I mentioned before, being over the age of 50 is definitely a risk factor. African American men, by the way, culture does make a difference, and African American men have a significantly higher risk factor. So keep that in mind as well. Family history, there we go again. Different types of cancers can also mean you are at risk for prostate cancer, at a higher risk. High-fat diets, they're a risk for any cancer. Obesity, same thing, because you have to realize high-fat diets and obesity, the key factor here, as well as lack of exercise, the key factor here is when you decrease circulation to these type of areas in your body, if you have a high-fat diet and your cholesterol is raised, then the oxygen level's not going to saturate the prostate gland the way it should. So you're lowering the oxygen level. Same with high-fat diet, obesity, because that usually comes with higher cholesterol levels, lack of exercise, not getting oxygen to all these little areas. Just like if you don't get enough oxygen to your brain, you can end up with Alzheimer's type symptoms. It could be pseudo-Alzheimer, or it can be actual Alzheimer, or it could be just a level of dementia. There's different things. Oxygen is the key there. And those three things are correlated to the oxygen, keeping that tissue healthy. Men, you have to keep that tissue healthy. Low levels of certain nutrients, even like vitamin D, and any swelling of the prostate is very, very important to discuss with your doctor, because that can be a sign that you need to keep a better close eye on that situation. So, men, don't go away. These are things that every man should see. So tell your friends, share the video, get the information out there. They're going to hear information in the show they don't hear anywhere else. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to show you a slideshow. We're going to discuss different things in this slideshow and other factors that we haven't discussed yet. So stay with me. We'll be right back.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a 6-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorick, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorick has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Gloria Warren. I'm your host today for Medical Intuitive Insights. Before the break, we explored the role of the prostate and symptoms and risk factors and what the body's trying to tell you. So you can always go back in the video, save the video, follow me. This is the third of the series on men. We did erectile dysfunction last week. Dynamite show with Coach Mike. It was an absolutely wonderful show. And then we also did another male situation the week before. You go to the live tab on my YouTube channel and you will see plenty of things there. We are actually going to do a really informative slideshow. So let's get that slideshow up. There we go. Absolutely wonderful. So I'm just going to set this up a little bit here. There we go. Okay, so the prostate. What is prostate cancer? As you can see, the cancer begins at the small prostate gland. Now, if you look at the urethra going down the penis and you go up to the dark blue area there on that slide, that is your prostate. Men, this is why sometimes if it's swollen, you have a hard time urinating. This is why. This is where it is. I mean, God put it there. Unfortunately, it's there where it's going to, but it does help you know when it's swollen that when you may need to have it checked. And you need to see your medical professional, whatever type of medical professional you see, that's your choice. So you need to see them if you're having the common symptom of urinating. Maybe the urine stream is stopping and going, you can't keep going, or maybe you keep waking up through the night. Maybe that's just your bladder that not fully emptying, or maybe it's the prostate gland being swollen. Please, early detection greatly improves the outcomes. Can you imagine if you catch it soon, your doctor could give you something, or perhaps you can do different things to help that whole situation. The prostate, located around the bladder, surrounds the urethra. And yes, unfortunately, that's something that men need to deal with. Next slide, please. So what the prostate gland actually does, well, we know it produces the seminal fluid and supports sperm health and the transport of it. And the role of hormone metabolism, we discussed that in the first quarter of the show. The location swelling affects urination and sexual function, and that's why I'm directing you to last week's show of erectile dysfunction. But keep in mind, on top of the erectile dysfunction, there's so many different causes of that. Every case is very unique. So that's something, too, you may need to discuss with your doctor or your medical professional of your choice. Because as a unique situation. It's not like, oh yeah, I've heard this before. Been there, done that. This is what you need to do. You're done. It's not. It's you need to actually have a discussion with those people. And it's nothing to be embarrassed about, because in the medical field, they get so um, desensitized to hearing all of it. All they think of is analytically when they're discussing it with you. It's not a personal, something to be embarrassed about. It's something more of just a medical thing, like a grown-in toenail or something. It's the same to a doctor. They don't, consider it something that is private. It's something that needs to be taken care of, is the way they consider it. So next slide, please. So who's at risk? And we discussed this as well. It's over the age of 50, but anyone could get prostate cancer. I've seen them as young as in their 20s. So keep that in mind. It's just less rare because the circulation in the body, remember I mentioned that? The circulation in the body is usually better as you're younger. As you get older, some of the areas of your body lower circulation. So it's common physiology, dealing with common physics in the human body. So as you get older, that's why over the age of 50, the risk factor increases drastically. African American men, the highest risk factor. So that's sad to say, but it's part of life, and that's just what it does. Family history of any prostate, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, genetic mutations. By the way, there are the mutations if you want to copy them down. A diet high in red or processed meats. I feel personally, this is my opinion now, is not necessarily a diet high in red meats. Processed meats, yes. High meats that are not as clean, which there's a lot of meats that aren't clean. There's the cattle, they get injections and they get eat, and they're kept sometimes in pens that they're walking in their gunk. You need clean meat, good clean meat. Okay. But processed meats, there has been a tie to people that eat a lot of processed meat. Lunch meats, maybe it's better just to make a roast and slice it yourself and put it away, freeze half of it, and you have it for your sandwiches. I mean, there's alternatives there. Obesity, low activity levels, chronic prostate inflammation, it goes on and on as far as risk factors. There's things in here, low vitamin D levels, by the way. There's things in here that I think this is not a full high risk factor list. If you've been exposed to chemicals at work, this is something you need to watch out for. Most cancers, it's a trigger. Chemicals are triggers. Yes, specific cancers and specific triggers do make a difference as well. When in doubt, ask. Okay, I'm here. You have medical professionals in your life, I hope. That's things that you need to consider. Chemicals in your diet, chemicals in your environment, work environment, home environment. What clothes are you wearing even? What materials are you putting against your body? This is a huge difference. Most of our clothes nowadays are not natural fibers. That's a big red flag to me. So you may want to consider different things. I'm doing a series on sustainability. I'm going to do the first one is going to be free, and that's going to be environmental sustainability. So there's a 10-part series that I'll be doing. We will do the first part here on the show. So keep it in mind. It will be coming up. Next slide, please. Common symptoms. We just went through this. Weak urine stream, stopping and going with urine. If you're not doing it on purpose, that may be part of it. Pain, erectile dysfunction, blood and urine, semen. The lower back, hip, or pelvic pain, this is a problem because a lot of men who start getting prostate cancer, and it's actually evolved from the localized area into the tissue around the prostate, it will most likely cause lower back pain, hip and pelvic pain. The reduced ejaculative force, some people say, oh, I'm just getting older, just getting older. No, not necessarily. There could be some internal swelling in the prostate gland that maybe it's not affecting your urination, but perhaps it's affecting the ejaculation force. So that's something to keep in track of as well. Next slide, please. So why symptoms are missed. Slow onset, prostate cancer, it doesn't necessarily need to be a slow onset, but most of the time it is a slow onset. So it's missed because it's like putting that frog in warm water and slowly heating it up. You don't realize how bad it's getting. So overlaps with benign prostate enlargement is what they call it. But men often hesitate to discuss urinary and sexual issues. Don't be shy, and discuss it with your partner as well, because your partner needs to be open to these things. It's a typical male risk factor here, just like breast cancer is for a woman, or ovarian cancer, or problems with their menstrual cycle or anything. This is on the male side here, and you need to be open with your partner about it. So don't hesitate. Early prostate cancer may have no symptoms at all. And that's why I say you need to get a baseline check. You need to let your medical professional check you for prostate cancer physically and through a blood test. You can request it at any age. Just say, look, I was watching this. Can I just check it so I get a baseline? Let's say I was like 22 or 32 or something. I could say, could I just get one so I can check it as a baseline? Even if you have to pay for that test yourself, get it checked. Okay. Next slide, please. Why symptoms are missed: slow onset, overlapping, screening tests. These are some of the screening tests. The PSA blood test, prostate specific antigen. That's the one you want to ask for. Okay. The others, the digital rectal, MRI, ultrasound. These are things that if you really they found something with the PSA, or maybe they did an ultrasound, they found something, then they move on to the next tests. Next slide, please. In any age, any risk for screening, especially if you have family history. So this are some of the stages. Let's say they think that you may have prostate cancer localized, contained within the prostate. Okay, as it moves on, it gets more advanced, it spreads slightly outside of the prostate, and the metastatic, it spreads into the bones and organs. This is why you got to go back to the beginning, get that baseline, don't drag your feet. Next slide, please. So active surveillance and for beforehand and during treatment. So there are some treatment options: radiation, surgery, radical prostatectomy, hormone therapy, androgen deprivation therapy is what it is for their hormone therapy, chemotherapy, immunotherapy. Somebody called me this morning on immunotherapy, and they're like, what are they doing? Yeah, they shouldn't be messing with the immunity. No, this was a wife of somebody. And I said, no, there's different types of immunotherapy. They can increase the immunity through supplemental and other types of products so to help fight the cancer, or they can also inhibit the immunity to react to the cancer. So it depends what stage you're in and how extensive it is and how spread it is. So they have targeted therapy as well. There are some clinical trials if you want to check into it. Next slide, please. So different treatment: radiation, hormone, we just went through it. So hormone therapy lowers the testosterone to slow cancer growth. So that's kind of like an immunotherapy scenario. So you keep that in mind. It's important to review things. Used for locally advanced cancers, metastatic disease, recurrence. Side effects include fatigue, hot flashes, weight changes, sexual function changes, and so forth. Next slide, please. Okay, why don't we stop right there? We're going to take a commercial break. We'll finish the slideshow when we get back. There's going to be more and more information get thrown at you. So come right back, and we'll be right back. This is Dr. Gloria Warren. You're watching Medical Intuitive Insights. We are going to be finishing the slideshow and continuing on to more holistic and alternative situations. And we'll be right back.
Master of words, powerful player. What life-changing words can Dr. Janet Smith Warfield pull out of her magical toolbox that just might mysteriously open a door you never knew was there? A door to free yourself from fear forever. Transform your rage into right action. Release your guilt. Position you into a life of freedom, purpose, passion, power, and peace. All quite suddenly, unexpectedly, and almost miraculously, with no effort on your part. Join Dr. Janet on Dancing with Words, Dancing with Wisdom, as she and her guests show you how words map our experiences, immersing you in a sound bath that relaxes your muscles, opens your mind, and supports you in co-creating your extraordinary life. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
Welcome back to Medical Intuitive Insights. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Warren. We are talking about a very important topic today, the last of the men's series, which is prostate cancer. This is something that all men should actually get a baseline and know the risk factors and the symptoms and the potential treatments I'm listing, as well as I'm going to go into holistic treatments as we move on. We are in the middle of a slideshow, by the way, and we're talking about active surveillance right now. So next slide, please. So active surveillance is ideal for slow growing cancers. And these are some of the things they'll do. Let's say you have swelling and they just want to do some certain active surveillance like regular PSA tests. Those are blood tests. So that's they get a baseline, and then as it progresses, that PSA level may go up. So they may want to watch it to see if there's something else they need to do further, like repeat biopsies or monitor things with an MRI and close urologic follow-up, like what are your symptoms too? You know, are you having trouble urinating? Are you having trouble with erectile dysfunction still, or is it things getting worse? You know, so they will check on all of those things. Next slide, please. Chemotherapy is a very common and advanced treatment. Screening is recommended based on age, risk factor, and family history. Not everybody should have chemotherapy. There's a whole area of tests that they need to, or questions they'll ask. It's only for aggressive or metastatic cancer. So if it's spread to your bones or your liver or somewhere else, then they'll want to do chemotherapy. And that's basically chemically based compounds, pharmaceutically based compounds and things of that nature. And then there's immunotherapy for DNA repair deficient cancers. So those are the ones I was talking about just before the break. Immunotherapy, they could be trying to raise your immunity to help you fight it yourself. I know, like with breast cancer, there's a medication they sell for that, so that it slows down the progression because your immunity gets stronger. Immunity tends to drop as you get older. It's a fact. It's just what happens. So there's also immunotherapy that may lower your immunity so your body doesn't super react to the symptoms. Usually those are only done like towards a more aggressive metastatic cancer. Targeted therapy like PARP inhibitors for certain mutations. There's different clinical trials out there. It's amazing. Clinical trials, they're testing things out there that are not publicly advertised, and they're finding excellent results with some of those. That's something that I'll be talking about in a little bit. Let me see if I can. I think I'll wait to talk about that. So just a thought, we can actually, the medical community can actually look at clinical trials. If you find one that you want to participate and you think it's a good fit, you have to be a good fit. You need to qualify for these types of trials. So if you feel you qualify and you take like a questionnaire and you pass and you qualify, go to your doctor and ask them, I just found out I qualify for this clinical trial. What do you think? Well, if it's cancer that has moved along and it's metastatic and you're finding it other areas of your body, I think it may be something you may want to explore. Nothing is perfect in this world, and there's no 100% on anything. But with you discussing things openly with your physician or your medical professional, you need to choose what you feel is right for you. It's self-sustainability. You have to take the bull by the horns and actually go in and look at the clinical trials. Okay, next slide, please. So who is at risk and the major risk factors? I keep drilling this into you because I want to make sure you guys do not forget this. Age 50 plus, African-American men has the highest risk factor in the world. Family history of prostate cancer, breast cancer, ovarian and colon cancer. I know that sounds odd. Colon cancer, what does it have to do with the prostate? Well, maybe it reacts the same way to certain chemical things that may trigger, remember triggers, may trigger the same thing. Cancer in ovaries or prostate, glands. You never know. It's one of those facts of life we deal with. The medical community does correlate certain chemicals with certain cancers. That's why you see those shows on TV. If you were exposed to XYZ and you had lung cancer or some loved one died of it, then you apply, because they know certain chemicals cause certain types or are trigger for certain types of cancers. So, diet high in red, unclean meat or processed meats, obesity. Please, if you are obese, consider, they do have things to help you lose weight to help minimize your risk factor. Chronic prostate inflammation. If you've been waking up at night several times at night, your bladder's emptying all the way, but yet you're having trouble with prostate gland or frequent urination at night, you may want to start getting checked, get a baseline PSA and blood test and see if you get a physical exam and see if they can start following that, start watching it. Next slide, please. So next slide is nutrition for prostate health. Plant-forward diet, yes, but you still need to keep up your protein. So don't leave. Protein has heme iron, which is the only place in the world to find heme iron, and that is what brings up your iron level in your blood the fastest. And you need to keep healthy blood. So I'm saying plant forward, but make sure it's clean plants as well. Clean plants, if they have pesticides or anything else on them, you're not getting clean plants, and you could be adding to that chemical environment in your system, which can actually backfire. So if whatever you decide to do is best for you, make sure it's a clean diet. That's really important, though. Cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. I remember somebody gave me this cabbage. It was like, oh my God, it was the biggest cabbage I saw. They grew it in their garden. They were growing these humongous giant cabbages. I'm like, all right, I'll take it. Cut it in half, boiled some. I shredded some. I made some coleslaw and Yeah, I did so many things with it. It was wonderful. These are some of the other things that the FDA recommends: tomatoes, berries, omega-3 fatty acids, green tea, reduce your alcohol level, avoid processed meat. So why reduce your alcohol level? This is something important so you know, because alcohol raises your blood sugar. And whenever you have high sugar, cancer can thrive on it. The other thing is alcohol kills cells. I mean, if you have an open sore and you pour alcohol on it, what happens? It burns. It singes those cells. And guess what? It gets in your bloodstream. And what is it doing? It's singeing your healthy cells in your vascular system, in the tissue as it spreads out. Keep that in mind. I'm not saying alcohol is fully bad for you. There are places in society, like if I get extreme anxiety, I may have a drink just to relax and, gain my senses back, but it's not, watch how much you're drinking, okay? And avoid processed meats, of course. Let's go to the next slide, please. Movement and exercise. I love this little guy. 150 minutes per week, moderate exercise. Dancing is my exercise. I love to dance. I mean, I do a lot of yoga stretches and things like that too. Strength training twice a week. Things like yoga, tai chi, stretching. I do a combination of yoga, tai chi, and qigong all together, and it's great. And dancing, of course. I added that one, by the way. Supports hormones, immunity, inflammation, and mood. It helps get that blood with oxygen to those other areas of the body to hinder the progress of cancers and to keep cells healthy. Next slide, please. Natural treatments, there's meditation, breath work, guided imagery. If you do have prostate cancer, maybe guided imagery would be something you would consider. You can call me, I can talk to you, I can guide you through a guided imagery session. If you're watching the show, no problem. Just give me a call, 715-892-7500. Energy medicine, Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, so I do energy medicine on people that need it. It helps. It helps reduce the pain is what it does. And various other healing processes, faster than normal. A lot of scientific evidence about it too, which is wonderful. Support groups, counseling, helpful supplements that we went through that. Pomegranate extract and curcumin. Oh my God, I believe so strongly in that. Black seed oil. Phenomenal with any cancer. It just eradicates, even me, I had an ulcer. I took some black seed oil every morning for 2 weeks. After 3 days, the H. pylori was killed in my stomach, and I took it on an empty stomach. It says to take it after you eat, but hey, everybody has their little things. Medicinal mushrooms. Supplements should never, though, replace medical therapy, so keep that in mind. Next slide, please. Oh, I love the beacons here. When you seek immediate evaluation, when to seek it. So we went through this: blood in urine, new or worsening low back, hip pain, unexplained weight loss. That is important. I did not mention that before. So sudden urinary blockage, immediately, emergency room. I mean, come on, who's kidding who? New erectile dysfunction symptoms and bone pain, very important. Next slide, please. Key takeaways: prostate cancer is common but highly treatable. Early screening saves lives. Lifestyle influences risks and progression. Integrative care improves overall well-being. Men should speak openly about urinary and sexual symptoms with their medical professional. Trust me, they've heard everything. All right, next slide, please. Thank you so much. Dr. Gloria C. Warren, PhD and research doctorate and epidemiologist, certified, of course, through Johns Hopkins, medical intuitive and integrated educator. Let's go back now to our regularly scheduled show. So many men miss the symptoms and risk factors and things, so you need to consider that. We are coming up to a next break. This next section is foundation of informed decision making, where to go. Absolutely, and we're going to discuss natural supplements, emotional support, holistic integration. We'll be right back.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Master of words, powerful player. What life-changing words can Dr. Janet Smith Warfield pull out of her magical toolbox that just might mysteriously open a door you never knew was there? A door to free yourself from fear forever. Transform your rage into right action. Release your guilt. Position you into a life of freedom, purpose, passion, power, and peace. All quite suddenly, unexpectedly, and almost miraculously, with no effort on your part. Join Dr. Janet on Dancing with Words, Dancing with Wisdom, as she and her guests show you how words map our experiences, immersing you in a sound bath that relaxes your muscles, opens your mind, and supports you in co-creating your extraordinary life.
Welcome back, my loved ones. This is Dr. Gloria Warren, and now we are entering a part of healing that nourishes the whole person, holistic and integrative support. So research shows dietary choices influence prostate cancer and its progression. So if you're trying to be healthy, and let's say you have a swollen prostate and they're saying it may be cancer, it doesn't mean stop your clean, healthy lifestyle. It means put it on full blast, pedal to the metal, because it does influence progression as well. And like I said, I'm going to do a little review and we're going to move on. Or encourage plant-forward diets, but at the same time, red meat, I feel red meat is extremely important to a diet, especially with somebody with cancer, because of the heme iron in it. It really hinders the progression of cancer, and you cannot get heme iron in plants. It is good to have a lot of cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, things like that. By the way, here's a little fact. There was a research study done many years ago. They cooked vegetables and they did raw vegetables. And what they found is the cooked vegetables, your body could absorb 4 times more the nutrients as the raw vegetables. So keep that in mind when you decide what you want to have tonight or whenever. Maybe you need the fiber of the other. You still get the fiber. It's a softer fiber in cooked vegetables, but keep it in mind, especially if you have a problem. So tomatoes, berries, omega-3 fatty acids. Remember though, tomatoes, even though it has lycopene, it also has lectins, which causes swelling. So there are things here that it's not just a one-stop shop. You do need further information. I'm here. I'm available if you need. You can always text me or call. So movement, we went through that. Reduces inflammation, regulates hormones, improves immunity, and enhances mood. Especially if you're dancing, keep in mind, like I said, the more movement, the more blood and oxygen gets to those areas that are stagnant where cancer can develop more rapidly. It lowers the reoccurrence risk too. Mind-body support. Here we go. Cancer affects his identity, relationship, confidence, and energy. Powerful tools, meditation, guided imagery, breathwork, energy medicine, support groups, counseling, coaching, spiritual grounding. I have a very unique way of grounding people, but it really works. So if you need professional guidance, I'm here for you. Or seek your medical professional for things as well. We talked about, curcumin, excellent. By the way, another one is pomegranate extract. Amazing, amazing healing properties. And saw palmetto, it's good for prostate health altogether. I even take saw palmetto for a few of my in swelling area things, that it takes down inflammation. Inflammation, by the way, is different than swelling. Swelling means it swells up. Could be too much salt or something in the area or whatever. But you knock yourself, it swells. So inflammation means there's an actual pathogen involved in the swelling. So when your prostate starts to swell, usually there's a pathogen. So medicinal mushrooms may be a good thing to look at, anti-inflammatory botanicals, plus emerging alternative approaches, PSMA, targeted radiation, promising. Cancer vaccines, me personally, it's not one of my options, but you have to make that decision on your own. Novel androgen receptor inhibitors, combination immunotherapy, genetically guided treatments. Let me see. I had something here that I wanted to talk to you about. Right. There's some alternative therapies and research studies that show a lot of promise with red light laser and cancer treatment. And okay, so I found this online, and I always said 650 to 665 nm for the measure of the laser, for the strength of the laser. And sure enough, they're saying 630 to 690 they used in the study, and it's delivered with optic fibers into the prostate. The activation created reactive oxygen species that kill tumor cells while trying to spare surrounding tissue. Key points of the literature. It's promising, minimally invasive, easy to do. Only for the early stage is the investigational that they've done. And it was promising. It did help to hinder any cancer growth, and actually killed some of the cancer. Radiocurrent prostate cancer, confined to the gland itself, that is. Okay. Some centers use chlorine E6-based PDT activated monochromatic red light laser light. I didn't go into that because I already know that other frequency, they've actually known for decades, but the special clinical studies are proving it over and over again, which is fantastic. It's focal laser ablation as well, high intensity thermal ablation. It's fiber placed into the tumor, and under MRI and ultrasound guidance, laser heats it up and destroys the targeted areas. This is something that is specifically they're doing for prostate cancer. It's used for controlling immediate risk localized prostate cancer. So that's why I said early intervention is the best thing you can do. If you need any of that information, I think please text me, because you may need to inform your physician about it or your medical professional. The medical professionals do not usually know about these studies. So photo in biomodulation around the cancer. They said this one, though, was mainly about side effect management. So some of it is not to kill the cancer, some of the studies, some is just to help manage the situation that they're dealing with other medications perhaps, or maybe not. So that I'm so glad that they mentioned, though, that specific frequency, because I've always said 650 to 665 is very effective for most anything, but this actually is proving that it stimulates the mitochondrial activity. It says that clinical guidance documents list active malignancy as relative and absolute contradiction for non-protocol red light therapy directly over tumors, and recommended using only under oncology supervision. A lot of people, the trend now is you're hearing, well, at least I've heard, people are very much so talking about red light laser, and these people are trying to sell, a lot of people are trying to sell programs, red light laser and this and that. They're not, most of them, I haven't heard one yet. I'll put it that way. Personally, I haven't heard one yet that they're discussing the actual effective light frequency. If you look online, the frequencies are all over the board. They're 800 and something, they're 300 and something. I still stand that it needs to be within that 650 to 665. Now, they are testing it at different levels from 630 to 670 or whatever, and that's great. I'm glad they're doing it. So I just wanted to get through that with you and talk to you about that for a minute. So prostate cancer is common, very highly common, and highly treatable too, especially when found early. Awareness, screening, lifestyle, integrative care all play vital roles. You can use alternative or complementary medicines as well to take down swelling. I use very much so. I do EDTA if I need blood to get into certain areas. Myself, it thins the blood. It got to watch out though. It is a blood thinner. And so it's really important to know what people are on, as far as medications. But it can help me to get things into areas that normally it wouldn't be getting because maybe I'm swollen up or maybe I ate something and I had an allergic reaction, Anyways, I just wanted to say you're not powerless. You are worthy of a care team that sees your body and your spirit. Be well, be informed, and be empowered. Until next time, I'm Dr. Gloria C. Warren. Take care.
This has been Medical Intuitive Insights with host Dr. Gloria Warren. Tune in each week as Gloria shares over 40 years of experience and yearns to provide knowledge derived from intuition and research. Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern.